Since I was young, I have known that I am different from ordinary people. At the age of 12, there were already many men in the village staring at me secretly. So after my mom passed away, my dad was very strict with me. Besides going to school, I have almost no chance to interact with outsiders. My dad's control over me is simply suffocating. In the year I turned 18, I discovered a secret. My dad has changed. He started secretly looking at me, scanning my whole body when I wasn't paying attention. Even many times when I turned my head while taking a shower, I could see the figure flashing by the window. I began to be afraid, always knowing that I was good looking, with red lips, white teeth, and black hair like a waterfall. There was no one more beautiful than me in the surrounding area. What's even more deadly is that my figure is more perfect and hot, and can be called a beauty. My father is only in his early 40s this year, in the prime of his life. My mother passed away, and my father suddenly changed, and I am like a weak little lamb waiting to be slaughtered, not knowing how to protect myself. On the evening of my 18th birthday, after dinner as usual, I hid back in my room and locked the door. It's pitch black outside, you can't see your hand, and it's so quiet that you can't even hear the sound of insects. Bang, bang, bang. My door was suddenly knocked. It was my dad. Shanshan, Dad couldn't sleep at night and wanted to come in and talk to you. I grabbed the quilt and covered myself, my heart pounding. Dad, I'm asleep. Let's talk about it tomorrow. There was no movement outside the door for a long time, just when I thought my dad had left. Just as I breathed a sigh of relief, there was a sudden sound of unlocking outside the door, which was my dad's spare key. Opening my room, with a click, the door was open. I sat up from the bed and pulled the blanket over myself. In the dim moonlight, my dad walked in with a key in one hand and something unknown in the other. My heart was pounding, and my body was shaking unconsciously because I was too scared. My dad sat down next to my bed, looked me up and down, and touched my head. This child's face is so red. Is he sick? The previous loving and warm touch now only makes me feel terrified. I tilted my head to avoid my dad's hand. I'm fine. My dad reached out and hugged me, wanting to hold me in his arms. My Shanshan has grown up and is now a big girl. I dare not move in my father's arms. Noticing my stiffness, my dad finally came to his senses. Shanshan, did you misunderstand something? My expression is about to cry. What can I misunderstand? Which good family's father would stare at his daughter and break into her room in the middle of the night? Seeing that I was about to cry, my dad quickly let go of my hand, his face showing panic. Blame me, blame me. This matter was handled too hastily. My dad stood up and walked back and forth rubbing his hands. But if I don't take action, there won't be enough time. I don't understand how my dad suddenly became like this, worried and anxious, embarrassed and helpless. Seeing my scared tears falling one by one, my dad finally stomped his feet. Throw a small booklet in your hand on my bed. Forget it. Let's not talk about it tonight. You can take a look at it yourself first. After speaking, my dad quickly ran out of my room and closed the door. I picked up the booklet my dad left behind, and as soon as I opened it, the crying stopped abruptly. Instead, endless shame and anger, followed by a slight strangeness in the body slowly rising. The scene in the booklet is something I have never seen before, but why did my dad throw it to me? Does he want to do I couldn't sleep all night? And when I saw my dad the next morning, I didn't dare to look at him. It was my dad who stopped me. Shanshan, I think you misunderstood something. I need to explain it to you. Otherwise, there won't be enough time. It's too late again. I've heard this sentence frequently. These 2 days, I don't know what will be too late. Despite my fear, my dad pulled me to sit down. I know what I said. You may not believe it. You have had a hereditary disease since birth, and you must have a coming of age ceremony within 1 month after turning 18. otherwise you will die. I was so scared that my whole body trembled. But looking at my dad's serious expression, it didn't seem like he was lying. You just turned 18 yesterday, and you will be a month old in 30 days. My father's expression was extremely serious, and in these 30 days, you must find someone. After speaking, my dad took out a letter. I knew you wouldn't believe me, so before your mom left, she wrote everything in the letter. You recognize your mother's handwriting. If you don't believe me, I will believe your mother anyway. Whenever my mother is mentioned, I feel like crying. Once she and my dad were the people who loved me the most in the world, but unfortunately he left early. I opened the letter and it was indeed my mother's handwriting, not something my semi-illiterate father could imitate. Shanshan, when you see this letter, your mother is already gone. Mom wants to tell you that everything your dad told you is true. You must find someone within a month of turning 18, otherwise you will really die. Mom was like this back then. Fortunately, she met your dad. This is the fate of our He family. Shanshan will listen to your dad from now on and never go back to the He family again in this lifetime. My mother's surname is He, but I have never heard him mention the He family. I don't know why my mother wants me to stay away from the He family, but he won't harm me. After reading the letter, I sniffled and turned to my dad. In these short 30 days, where do you want me to find someone to stab me? I am a little shy. My dad is also distressed. He was too strict with you before. It's because of your special constitution that he was afraid you would suffer losses and be bullied. Recently, Dad has been secretly watching you, hesitating how to tell you this. My dad is usually such a rough man, but now his eyes are red. I just threw that booklet to you last night because you don't understand anything. My Shanshan is so naive and innocent that I protect her. How can I bear to be bullied like that? If I break my virginity, I will be bullied without any emotional foundation. If I don't break it, I will lose my life. Finally, my dad gritted his teeth and said that I would go to the mountains to collect hers today and wouldn't come back all night. Haven't you always had a crush on the kid next door, Gushi? Go find him tonight. After speaking, my dad's eyes turned red and he left the yard without looking back, carrying his backpack. When it comes to Gushi, my face feels a little hot. Gushi grew up with me. We were childhood sweethearts. I followed him since I was young and called him Shijie. It was only when I turned 12 and my body was like a blooming flower bud that I couldn't hide anymore that my dad stopped us from communicating. Now, how can I have the audacity to go find him? But life is more important. Thinking of this, I took out a basket of sweet potatoes from the kitchen and wanted to go find Shai Yijie in the name of sending sweet potatoes. When I arrived, Brother Shai had just finished chopping firewood and was sweating all over. When he entered, he lifted a bucket of water from his upper body and poured it from his head down. The water flowed down from his Adam's apple to his sturdy chest, and then to his tight ABS. My gaze followed the water droplet downwards until it finally followed the mermaid line. My face turned red, and my body suddenly felt a little hot. Something was restless. I feel like my underwear is wet, something I haven't experienced in 18 years. I understand that this is what my dad said, that when I turn 18, my body should be restless. I just didn't expect the change to be so drastic. It made me feel like the water wouldn't stop flowing even if I was slightly stimulated. Seeing me standing at the door without moving, Brother Shai waved his hand. What happened to Shanshan? I quickly covered my blush and walked in. Shai Yijie, the weather is hot and I'll bring you some sweet potatoes. Brother Shai approached me and took the sweet potato. The hands of the two accidentally touched, as if electrocuted. My body trembled and I looked up at Shai Yijie, only to find that his ears were also red. Brother Shai, then I'll go back first. I really didn't dare to stay any longer. I blushed and turned around to run out the door. but I didn't pay attention and stumbled on the fallen firewood. About to fall, a pair of strong and powerful hands caught me. I fell into Shai's arms, pressed against his chest, and a strong hormonal breath hit me. "Shanshan, are you okay?" She helped me straighten up and let go of my hand. "I'm fine." It wasn't until I stood up that I realized my ankle was hurting badly. "You twisted your foot. I'll go apply some medicine for you." She suddenly picked me up horizontally and walked into the house. I was hugged by Shaiji, tightly pressed against his chest, and heard a bang from his chest, as if he was about to jump out of his chest. When I came to my senses, Brother Shai had already carried me into the room and put me on the bed. Is it not good for Shiji to do this? I blushed badly. In such a closed space, I dare not look at Shaiji. Shaiji suddenly turned around and locked the door. He looked at me tightly and leaned towards me. The hot breath book sprayed onto my ear, and Shaiji's hand inadvertently brushed against my chest. The rough friction made my heart numb and itchy, and my body reacted to the stimulation. I was both ashamed and afraid, and he pressed me down step by step. "Shanshan, don't be afraid. I'm just applying some medicine for you." After speaking, Brother Shai reached out and took out a box of ointment from behind me. Realizing that I had misunderstood, I blushed and almost dripped water. Shiji took off my shoes and socks and held my feet in his palm. The white and tender feet fell into Shiji's palm, thin and smooth. Shai's body stiffened and his eyes darkened for a moment. "It may hurt a little, Shanshan. Please hold on." Shaiji calmed down, squeezed out the ointment, and applied it to my ankle. Fingers brushed against my skin, crispy and numb, and the rough feeling made my heart beat faster. I don't know if it hurts or itches, but I let out a soft groan and couldn't help but close my knees. Shai's body stiffened, and when he looked up again, his eyes were red and his voice was inexplicably hoarse. "Hurting you." I nodded with a red face and dared not tell him. At this moment, there was restlessness below me again. "Brother Shi, I am going back." Afraid of getting wet again if I stayed any longer, I quickly pulled my foot out of Shai's palm, hurriedly put on shoes and socks, and prepared to walk out regardless of the pain in my foot. Just as I got up, there was suddenly a knock on the door. What as Gushi closed the door in broad daylight? "Open it quickly." I recognized this voice. It was the voice of the village chief's daughter Liu Ryan. Liu Ryan has always admired Shai Yijie, and because of her identity as the village chief's daughter, she has been secretly taking advantage of Shai Yijie. Ryan Liu is a famous loudspeaker. If Ryan Liu finds out, your reputation here will be ruined. Shai Yijie frowned and looked inside and outside the house. The door was knocked loudly, and I couldn't find a place to hide. Shai Yijie gritted his teeth and pushed me onto the bed and lay down under the blanket. Then he quickly opened the door and jumped onto the bed himself. As soon as Liu Ryan came in, she saw Shai Yijie sitting on the bed with a somewhat awkward expression. "Gushi, why did you go to bed? Are you feeling unwell?" Yijie pretended to cough twice and caught a cold. "Liu Ryan, you should go back quickly to avoid infecting you." As soon as Liu Ryan heard that Shai Yijie had a cold, she became anxious and wanted to stick to the bed. "Come, I'll stay here with you. It's the worst when you have a cold." As soon as I heard that Liu Ryan didn't want to leave, I stiffened in the quilt. If he didn't leave, how long would he have to hide in the quilt? The key is to prevent me from being discovered. Shiji hid me tightly. My face was touching Shai's thigh, hot and dry, and I didn't know what to do. "Gushi, do you think I'm pretty? Or is that girl Wang Shanshan pretty?" Liu Ryan suddenly asked. As soon as I was mentioned, I perked up my ears and moved unconsciously. When the face hit the inside of Shai Yijie's thigh, only a loud sobbing sound was heard. Shai's whole body trembled, and his pants quickly bulged. "Gushi, what's wrong with you? Hurry up and tell me." Liu Ryan is still asking, and I don't care about Shy Yiji's reaction. Head rubbed up hard, wanting to hear how Shijie would answer. I also want to know who is more important in Shai's heart. I still wanted to look up, but one hand reached into the quilt and suddenly pressed my head. Shy Yiji took a long time to calm down and said to Liu Ryan, "Liu Ryan, it's getting late. You should go back quickly, otherwise your dad will look for you everywhere later." When it comes to the village chief, Liu Ryan finally became a little scared and he got up and walked out. "Gushi, rest well, I'll come find you tomorrow." As soon as Liu Ryan left, I was pulled out by a pair of rough and hot hands. Shy Yiji fished out my body, half of it on the side, with bloodshot eyes. "Shanshan, what were you doing in the quilt just now?" I said innocently. "Shy Yiji, I didn't do anything. I just wanted to hear how you answered. Is it me who is good looking, or is he Liu Ryan good looking?" Shy Yiji's face turned red all of a sudden, and he turned his face unnaturally. "Of course, you look good." My heart is like a small flower blooming. I leaned in front of Shy Yiji, my fair and delicate face full of ignorance and curiosity. "Shijie was just in the quilt. What did you use to push me?" Shy Yiji's face turned red. "Shan, do you really want to know?" I nodded. Don't blame me for being curious. My father strictly disciplined me for 18 years. I have never eaten pork or seen a pig run. Although my dad gave me a booklet last night, there is a difference between the actual product and the picture. Shy Yiji suddenly turned over and pressed me down. I was a little shy and pushed Shy Yiji away with a red face. "Shy Yiji, it's not convenient now. I want to go back first." Shy Yiji's gaze tightened and fell under me. The next second, a helpless smile appeared on his lips. "Then you can go back first. Your dad won't come back tonight. I'll come find you tonight." I hurriedly escaped from Shiji's yard, and when I got home, my heart was still pounding. I like Shiji. I have liked him since I was young, and I also know what will happen tonight. If I have to break my virginity to save my life, I hope that person is Shy Yiji. At least he gave my first time to the person I like. All day long, I was absent-minded, thinking that Shy Yiji would come over tonight. My face was burning and my heart was pounding. I was afraid that I wouldn't understand anything by then. I went back to my room, dug out the booklet under my pillow, and started studying. The more I looked at me, the more red-faced I became, and I threw the booklet aside. In case I don't understand anything by then, should I practice it myself first? Thinking of this, I picked up the booklet and lay down on the bed. Finally, it was night, and the door was closed early. Just as agreed, a small side door was left for Shijie in an inconspicuous corner. Thinking that Shy Yiji will come over later, I plan to wash myself first. Thinking that there is no one at night, and the yard is cool, I filled the water tank in the yard with water, took a bath, and relieved the heat of the whole day. Just as I took off my clothes and crawled into the water tank, I heard a noise coming from the side door. It was Shijie. Thinking about what was going to happen later, I felt a little shy and sank my body into the water again. "Shy Yiji, I haven't finished showering yet. You can't pee." The sound stopped, followed by footsteps coming towards me step by step. "Shy Yiji, you are too anxious." I said you can't pee. I blushed and said with my eyes closed. The next second, a pair of big hands touched my face, and then my vision went black. A silk scarf covered my eyes, and the field of vision was dark, and I couldn't see anything. I only felt a pair of strong hands pulling me out of the water tank and picking me up by the waist. I was naked and pressed against Shy Yiji's broad and powerful chest, and the water droplets on my body quickly soaked his clothes, making the two of them close together. Listening to the powerful thumping sound coming from the chest, just like during the day, I buried my head in Shai's arms to Shai to lift my head. Shy Yiji carried me into the room, put me on the bed, and immediately pressed me down. When the eyes are covered, the senses will be particularly sensitive, and the intense wheezing sound will be right next to the ear, and the hot breath will be directly sprinkled into the ear. I feel like my ears are burning, and my heart is itching too.